Hey guys, how's it going? Sorry about that. We had a little technical difficulty with our very first episode. Needless to say, this is going to be a memorable start to the fantasy season, to say the least. But we're going to jump right back in where we left off. Thankfully, by the grace of the Lord, we were right at a midpoint, so I don't have to backtrack, but we're going to review just a second. We went over terms that the newbies might not know, PPR, ECR, ADP, things like that. What we're getting into, what I was about to say before we got cut off there. What league is right for you? So, like I said, you've decided to play. You caved. You gave into the pressure. And you joined the rest of the fantasy football family here, and you're ready to become a fantasy football player. So, what league is right for you? Well, here's the thing: there are a ton, literally a ton of leagues that you can join. Okay, so what's going to be right for you? Well, here's the thing: is that you have to figure out what competition level that you want to have, and are you going to be playing online or in person? I myself, we have a live draft. Um, so what that means is that we all get together, everybody who's in the league, we all get in one place at one time, and we do our draft just like the NFL. We call out the players. We have a big draft board that goes on the wall. We put the stickers up, and yes, it might be a little old school, but I find that it's a lot more fun for me. I get to, you get to hang out with the guys that you're playing with, the guys that you're going to be competing with week in and week out. I work with all of these guys, um, and I'm married to I'm married to one of the players. My wife is the defending champ, and not just the one time, but the back-to-back defending champ for our league, and that's kind of could bruise someone's ego, but she gets all of her fantasy advice from me. So uh, now, not to give myself too much credit on that one, because I did a study, and if you go back on my videos, you'll see the path of the champion, tale of two teams, where my championship team, because her and I competed in the championship 2 years in a row, my championship team was made up of maybe one or two guys that I actually drafted, and everybody else was either through trade or free agent acquisition uh, during the season. Whereas her team, all of her starters were people that she drafted, which is crazy. She just had a phenomenal draft. It was awesome. And she did all of that work on her own. So now I don't want to, take credit for something for her work. So I'm putting that out there. So hi, honey, awesome job, love you. Um, so what competition level do you want to be at? Do you want to be at something where you're a competitive person like I am, and you want to have people involved, and you want to make sure that your league, there's nobody that drops out, things like that? Or do you just trying to dip toe in the water a little bit, so to speak, and you really don't care if people drop out? You're just in it for the experience. You're trying to, get better at it before you actually go with someone that and you don't want to make a fool of yourself. I get it. I understand. Um, if you're at a competition level where you're not really comfortable doing doing this with people that you know, then I would suggest that you go online, uh, Yahoo, ESPN, NFL. There's a ton of apps out there that you can be part of, um, where people go and they just try it. So if that's you and you want to go that route, I would suggest that you do the online thing. That you go ahead and just you get your practice in, you go through a season, you kind of find out what it's about, see if you want to keep up with it. If you want to dive in and you've been dragged to an in-person draft, then I strongly suggest that you tune in here. So down the bottom, if you haven't already, subscribe, and we'll see you here twice a week, and we'll get you the best fantasy advice that we can give you. But I do recommend that you also supplement that with a different outlet, whether it be the fantasy footballers, whether it be the fantasy pros, whether it be fantasy football live on ESPN, things like that. Even if you want to go out and go really old school and go buy a magazine, go for it. Okay, whatever you're comfortable with. Now, what kind of league are you in? And you're sitting there going, wait a minute, whoa. What kind of league? What do you mean? Well, here's the thing. There's what we call a redraft league. There's what we call a dynasty league. And then we have keeper leagues. And there's a whole bunch of other things that you can get into that, variations on those leagues. But those are the three main ones that you're going to be involved in. What is a redraft league? A redraft is just like the name says, every single year you get a new team. So every single year you go in and you draft all different players. You're not going to have, very rarely are you going to have the same exact players on your team that you had last year, as opposed to a keeper league, which, like its name says, you're gonna keep a couple of guys. The only thing is that wherever you drafted them, typically you're gonna lose that draft position. Okay, so let's say, for instance, last year, like myself, I was the number one overall draft, number one overall in one league, and then I was the number 12 in the other league. Now, if both of those leagues were keeper leagues and I wanted to keep my number one pick, I would be keeping Saquon Barkley and I would be keeping Davante Adams. Those were my two number one picks, and I would not have a number one pick this year. Whereas, like, let's say there was a couple of years ago where I drafted Lamar Jackson, but I drafted him in like the 10th round. Okay, so I could keep Lamar, but I would lose my 10th overall pick. Now, here's the thing, is that if you're lucky enough to have a breakout player like that, and you're able to get them the year that they break out. So, like, let's say this year you draft, I don't know, let's say Zach Wilson. Okay, he's rookie quarterback for the New York Jets. Let's say he just goes bananas. He just blows up. But because he's a rookie, nobody's going to be drafting him high. They're going to be drafting him in the double-digit rounds. Well, in the double-digit rounds, those are the guys that you can basically just throw away. You're just taking your shot on them. You're like, okay, I like this guy, and you go there and you pick that guy, and if he makes it, he makes it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. And it's not going to hurt your team. You can drop him and not feel bad about it. You're not like, man, I just wasted a draft pick. It's not like having a bust in your first couple of rounds. So, things like that. But that's a keeper league. So there's a lot of strategy that goes into it. There's a lot of thought that it's like, okay, well, who do I want to keep? Who do I want to let go? Because when you let go, your opponents can pick those guys up, and it's not guaranteed that they're going to get back to you at the price that you got them. You're gonna hear a lot about draft price, like what draft price are you paying for a player? That's how high you have to draft them, what round you're drafting them in. So if you're drafting a guy in the first, second, third round, that's a high price to pay for a player. You've got to make sure that guy is going to pay off for you. Guys in the middle rounds, like 6, 7, 8 round, they're still good players, but they're not going to cost you as much. It's not as costly a mistake as if you make a mistake or you have a player that busts on you in the top rounds. And like I said, are you going to do an in-person or are you going to do an online? You know, those are things you have to, if you're doing it in person, you have to mentally get prepared for that one, because you're going to have a lot of emotion going on in that. You're going to feel the panic when the clock's ticking down. You're gonna get the influence from the guy who in your ear, you know, talking trash to you. And there's a lot of trash talking that goes on in fantasy football, let me tell you. But it's a lot of fun. So I hope that this has enlightened you guys a little bit. If you're a newbie, I hope that the scripture has been uplifting for you. And I want you guys to remember that when you hear this new you, it's a new day. That's not just a slogan that gyms use in the beginning of the year to suck you in and get you to pay, you know, pony up money for the membership. That is available to you through Christ anytime you want. Okay. Your new you, new day can start today. Please, down the bottom, leave me a comment. If you'd like to talk more about it, I would love to contact you about it. I would love to have a dialogue with you guys, not just about fantasy football, but about anything that you guys are going through that you guys might need help with. I'm no counselor. I'm just like you guys. I have struggles and heartaches and heartbreaks and all that kind of stuff myself. But through Christ, he can get you through anything. Believe me when I tell you that. Okay, guys. So, like I said, I hope you like the new format. I hope you subscribe, like, and share for me. And remember, my name is Neil. This has been Faith in Football, and I hope to see you next time. And sorry about the technical difficulties. Hopefully, we have that ironed out next go around. But thank you for tuning in for part 2, and we'll see you next time on Faith and Football.